The stormy night outside cast eerie shadows that danced across the walls of my dimly lit room. I sat alone, my nerves already on edge from the howling wind and relentless rain. The only source of light was the flickering candle on my desk, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper secrets in the darkness. The room felt like it was holding its breath, as if anticipating something ominous. I had been staring at the mirror on the opposite wall, lost in thought, my mind a whirlwind of worries. Every now and then, I'd catch my own reflection staring back at me with vacant eyes, but something was off. A chilling feeling crawled up my spine each time our gazes met. It was as if the reflection held a secret, a malevolent intent that it was desperate to conceal. The minutes stretched into hours, and the storm raged on, the wind's mournful howls echoing my own apprehension. I blinked, my eyes feeling heavy from the strain of staring into the mirror for so long, and that's when I saw it. My reflection moved, just a fraction of an inch, but it was enough to make my heart race. My breath caught in my throat, and I blinked again, rubbing my eyes, convinced that it was a trick of the light. But when I looked back at the mirror, my reflection was still moving, shifting subtly as if testing its boundaries. Panic gripped me, and I stumbled back, knocking over the candle and plunging the room into complete darkness. Heart pounding, I fumbled for my phone, its feeble glow barely illuminating the room. When the light finally reached the mirror, I stared in horror. My reflection was no longer mimicking my movements. It was grinning, a wicked smile that stretched unnaturally across its face. I stumbled backward, my thoughts a jumbled mess as I struggled to process what I was seeing. As I watched, paralyzed by fear, the reflection raised its hand, and its fingers pressed against the glass. I felt a sharp pain in my own hand, and I gasped as I saw blood trickling down my fingers. The reflection's grin widened, and its eyes glinted with malevolence. A suffocating dread settled over me, and I realized with a sinking feeling that whatever was in the mirror wasn't me. It was something else, something sinister that had taken on my appearance. My mind raced, trying to make sense of the impossible, but there was no denying the truth. I was facing something beyond my comprehension, something that wanted to take my place. Terrified and trembling, I stumbled out of the room, leaving the mirror behind. Its malevolent presence seared into my mind. The storm outside seemed to reflect the chaos within me, as I grappled with the horrifying realization that I was no longer alone in my own skin. My heart raced as I stumbled into the hallway, the dim light of my phone casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance along the walls. The air felt thick with a sense of foreboding, as if the very walls were closing in on me. I had to get away from that mirror, away from whatever had taken on my form and was now plotting to steal my life. As I fled down the hallway, a chilling thought gripped me. What if this malevolent reflection had already spread its influence beyond the mirror? What if it was lurking in every reflective surface, waiting to seize control? The once familiar house now felt like a maze of uncertainty, every reflection a potential threat. I found myself in the living room, my gaze darting around frantically, searching for any sign of movement. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing in my ears like a drum of impending doom. The old grandfather clock in the corner ticked ominously, each second dragging me further into the clutches of my own nightmare. With trembling hands, I reached for the curtains and threw them open, allowing the feeble moonlight to filter into the room. The light revealed nothing out of the ordinary, yet the feeling of being watched persisted, like a cold breath on the back of my neck. My phone's battery was draining quickly, the flickering light becoming a lifeline in the suffocating darkness. I thought about leaving the house, escaping this living nightmare and seeking refuge elsewhere, but a nagging doubt crept in. What if the reflection followed me? What if it managed to take my place in the world beyond these walls? I was trapped in a twisted game, with no clear way to win. I heard a faint sound, like a whisper carried on the wind. My gaze snapped to the hallway, where the mirror was still hidden in shadows. Was it my imagination? Or had I heard my own name being called in a voice that wasn't mine? Fear clawed at my chest, and I backed away, my feet stumbling over furniture in my haste. The minutes stretched into hours, each tick of the clock a reminder of my desperate situation. The moonlight waned and the room grew darker, suffocating me with its weight. With my phone's battery nearly depleted, I had no choice but to find a way to confront whatever had taken over my reflection. I couldn't let it win. I couldn't let it steal my life. Summoning all the courage I could muster, I approached the hallway, my steps faltering as I neared the mirror. I raised my phone, its dying glow casting eerie shadows on the wall. And there it was, the reflection, still grinning, still waiting. My heart pounded in my chest as I stared into those malevolent eyes. This was my home, my life, and I refused to let it be stolen from me. With a trembling hand, I reached out and touched the mirror's surface. The moment our fingers met, a shock of electricity surged through me, and I felt as though I was being pulled into the glass. But I wouldn't back down. I wouldn't let it take me. With a scream of defiance, I pushed back against the force, my vision blurring as reality itself seemed to warp around me. The mirror fought back, its grin contorting into a snarl, but I pushed harder, fueled by fear and determination. And then, with a shattering sound, the mirror cracked, its malevolent presence dissipating into the air like smoke. I stumbled back, my breath ragged, and watched as the broken glass revealed only my own reflection. No longer grinning, no longer sinister. I had won, but the battle was far from over. The nightmare had taken its toll, and I was left shaken and scarred by the ordeal. The house that had once been a sanctuary now felt like a prison, each reflective surface a reminder of the terror I had faced. As the first rays of dawn broke through the remnants of the storm, I knew I had to find answers. I had to uncover the truth behind this haunting, to understand how my own reflection had turned against me. With a heavy heart and a determined spirit, I set out on a quest for answers, determined to unravel the darkness that had nearly consumed me. Days turned into restless nights, and the horror of my encounter with the malevolent reflection continued to haunt my thoughts. Every mirror, every window pane, held the potential to betray me, to reveal that sinister presence once more. Sleep became elusive, my nights filled with nightmares that blurred the lines between reality and the twisted visions of my mind. I scoured the internet for any clues, any stories that might hint at similar experiences. My search led me down a rabbit hole of ancient legends, occult practices, and paranormal phenomena. It seemed I wasn't alone in facing such a malevolent force. Tales from centuries past told of mirrors as gateways to other realms, reflections as vessels for entities hungry for a taste of the living world. One particularly obscure text spoke of a ritual, an ancient rite that could summon and bind spirits to mirrors, imprisoning them within the reflective surface. It was said that these spirits craved life, yearning to escape their glass prisons and claim the bodies of the living. The more I delved into the texts, the more I realized that what I had faced was far from a random occurrence. With newfound determination, I sought out experts in the paranormal, desperate for guidance in my battle against the malevolent reflection. It was a journey that led me to a remote village, nestled at the edge of a dense and ominous forest. The village harbored whispers of a local woman known for her knowledge of the supernatural, a woman rumored to have dealt with forces beyond human understanding. The journey through the forest was fraught with its own terrors, branches that seemed to reach out like skeletal fingers, shadows that danced just beyond the edge of my vision. But I pressed on, driven by a need to confront the darkness that had shattered my sense of security. The village was shrouded in an air of unease, the locals casting wary glances in my direction as I asked for directions to the woman's dwelling. The path led me to an ancient cottage, the walls weathered by time and etched with symbols that seemed to ward off unwanted intruders. With a trembling hand, I knocked on the door, my heart pounding as I waited for a response. Moments later, the door creaked open, revealing an elderly woman with piercing eyes that seemed to see into the depths of my soul. She invited me in without a word, and we sat across from each other, the air heavy with anticipation. I recounted my chilling tale, every detail of my encounter with the malevolent reflection. The woman listened in silence, her expression a mix of concern and understanding. When I had finished, she leaned forward and regarded me with a gravity that sent shivers down my spine. "What you faced is no ordinary spirit," she said, her voice a whisper that held the weight of ancient secrets. "It It is a shadow being, a manifestation of darkness that seeks to take your place in the world. She explained that these beings were drawn to individuals who possessed a strong connection to the spiritual realm. Individuals like me who were sensitive to the supernatural. She revealed that the ritual I had uncovered was indeed a method to imprison such spirits, but it required a deep understanding of the ritual's intricacies and a willingness to confront the darkness head-on. My heart raced as she spoke, the weight of the truth settling over me like a heavy shroud. The woman offered to help me perform the ritual, to guide me through the steps necessary to banish the malevolent reflection once and for all. With a mixture of trepidation and determination, I agreed, knowing that this was my only chance to reclaim my life and banish the darkness that had taken hold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the room, the woman began to prepare for the ritual. I watched as she carefully arranged a circle of candles and placed an ornate mirror at its center. She recited incantations in a language I couldn't comprehend, her voice carrying an otherworldly power that seemed to reverberate through the very air. The room seemed to pulse with energy as the ritual reached its climax. The mirror's surface shimmered, and I could almost see a faint glimmer of movement within its depths. With a final chant, the woman thrust her hand forward, and a blinding light erupted from the mirror, bathing the room in a searing glow. When the light faded, I felt a profound sense of emptiness, as if a weight had been lifted from my soul. I looked into the mirror, and instead of the sinister grin, I saw my own reflection, the reflection I had known all my life. The malevolent presence was gone, banished back to whatever realm it had come from. I thanked the woman, my voice filled with gratitude for her expertise and guidance. She nodded solemnly, her eyes holding a mixture of relief and wariness. She warned me that the battle against the supernatural was ongoing. The darkness could always find a way to seep back into the world. But armed with knowledge and a newfound strength, I left her cottage with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.